Operation Status Quo. Operation Status Quo. Prepare to engage. Operation Status Quo. Ready to engage. Operation Status Quo. Engaged. Engaged. Oh, yes, indeed, ladies and gentlemen, we are so happily and merrily, if I may, engaged once again here on Operation Status Quo. Thank you for your time to be here with me today. I am Pete Palma, your user-friendly host, ladies and gentlemen, here on Operation Status Quo. And of course, as you know, Operation Status Quo is the place where we observe the status quo of life. We learn to flow with the status quo of life. And then we create our own flow of quo, because that's the only way to go. We just mitigate our circumstances and find ways to be as abundant and happy as we can based on what's going on around us. And I don't even want to waste a single second because I feel so blessed today to have such a wonderful guest. We have Ron Branstetter of Branstetter, I believe I've said it wrong. I'm sorry. And of Ron's Basement. Let me bring him on right now. Ron's Basement. Here we are. There you go. Ron, there you are. Look at you. Look at that smile.
Yep.
I love happy smiles.
Here. It's great. It's a real honor to be here with you and your audience, Pete. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for your time and being here today. So Ron is a precious metals guru. I'm going to put it that way, right? And I saw the look on your face. But Ron has his own YouTube channel, which I've put in the description box below here, so you can check out his channel. Please like and subscribe to his channel as well. He's doing some great work out there, sharing information every day regarding the current state of precious metals and our financial system and such. So, Ron, I'll let you tell the people who you are and what you do and how you came to be where you are.
Yeah, sure. Well, I've had my YouTube channel, Ron's Basement, for a little over a year now. I've been focused on it exclusively for about 14 months, and I had a goal to put out one piece of content every day for a year and see where it goes, and the channel's grown quite a bit. There's a lot of people in the United States, but also all over the world, who are keenly interested in precious metals, and I would also say maybe concerned with the direction of some of the world events that we're seeing unfold, in recent times.
Right, and it's funny because here on this show, I always try to tell people not to get overwhelmed and not to take life too seriously. There's so many things going on. It's easy to become fearful, and I feel personally a lot of powers that be try to put us in a situation to not only be divided from each other, but fearful of circumstances. And I always encourage people to realize how much power they have within themselves and how much you can create what you want in your life. And something like precious metals, for me personally, ironically enough, was one of those things I never thought that I probably would get involved with, but another friend of mine, and ironically enough, again, his name is Ron also. It must be a Ron thing with the precious metals, and he started telling me about silver and blah, blah, blah. And I started purchasing back in February of 2021 when they, kind of shot up. Remember, it was up to like 28 something or so an ounce back then. And, I bought a bunch then, and I wish I would have bought more when it dropped down to 17, but I didn't. But then I started again. And anyway, long story short, I've been, I look at it as what a great way to, and what you always say too about you're not buying silver or, you're transferring your wealth into something of real value.
Yeah, it gives an individual probably one of the last opportunities available to, to be self-reliant to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
Some people like to say, you can be your own central bank. Holding precious metals is we could go on for hours, but they've maintained their value for thousands and thousands of years. So really, no matter what the world can throw at them, and the world has thrown everything at precious metals over the last 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years. Gold and silver have always maintained their value. So, if people are concerned about a political situation domestically in their own country, or even if they're concerned on a worldwide geopolitical level, it gives them an opportunity to get maybe a smaller or a little bit more security in themselves. And, there's no counterparty risk with precious metals, meaning your money's not in a bank or invested into a stock, or you're not relying upon anyone. If you hold an ounce of silver, it's yours. There's no other party you're relying upon for that value that's inherent in that metal.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And, it's and that's the thing of it too is, when I guess obviously if you were someone that I'm sure like you have been doing this for a lot of years, you've built up a pretty nice like supply. And I never even think about like I was happy when I got to like 1,000 ounces. I was like, oh, I could be set for life maybe if this goes to $1,000 an ounce or some kind of crazy. But I'm not looking at it from that perspective. But when I went to I took the advice of not just you but others that say the same type of thing in this field. Find the people at your local coin shops and stuff and make relationships and whatnot. And I did go to a local coin shop here in my area, and I was talking to, it wasn't even the owner, it was his son, and I was talking about looking for silver and what they had and blah, blah. And he's, oh, my dad, he's like a silver nut. He's got like 30,000 ounces. And I'm thinking like, wow, he's really in good shape. He's really in good shape. He's got 30,000 ounces, But what's nice about something like that, if you always, I'm learning this. I wish I would have realized it a little younger. I'm going to be 50 this year, but it would have been something that I could have always kind of built over time, that in the times where it fluxes up and down, I could have traded it in, if it hits 50, trade it in, and could have put it towards real estate or a different type of thing. So I'm seeing a whole nother perspective for myself of like just how to deal with money. I had everything in, when I was working my day job, I was putting 17% of my pay into my, thrift savings or the IRA, whatever they have, tax free and all that. But I started realizing you can never get to that money, and by the time you do get to that money, you might not make it, and then,
right.
Yeah. And it's just like, I see things like I want to have stuff that you can hold. Like I know you say it and I've heard it, if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And I don't even look at it again with the precious metals. It's almost like anything, like even in today's times, if the economy crashed, if you had a bike, like a bike is worth more than the dollar's worth, it's a useful resource.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. We don't know what'll happen, and I'm not a person who's real keen on the absolute gloom and doom. That scenario is always possible, right? Where we're walking around using silver coins to buy food and whatnot. I don't necessarily foresee that as being the case. To me, I think at the end of the day, what I feel more comfortable looking at a stack of silver than I do thinking about having that representative amount of money in a bank account.
Yes.
And I do have a bank account, and I do have a 401k, and I do have own a home and a lot of other things.
Right.
I'm not just a pure precious metals person, but from an insurance perspective, for me, from a safety perspective, I feel comfortable that precious metals are a good vehicle to help weather almost any storm that could be thrown at us, and we don't know.
Right. Well, I agree with you. I don't think that like it's going to come to a point of like, oh my gosh, like the world shut off and you're running around with silver, rounds trying to buy a couple pieces of fruit or something. But I think personally, I see everything as like a bigger picture. My personal beliefs of, that we're all one energy and humanity's consciousness is growing. And I just think this is a part of it. And I think the old structures of what we were raised on and what we're used to, for the paradigm over the last so many generations, I think that's kind of collapsing into a new way of life. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it affects our educational system, our medical system, and obviously the financial system as well, our governments. And, I always liken it to, it's like, when a woman gives birth, it's a little messy, maybe a little screamy, but after then they hose down the kid and you have a beautiful new baby. And I just feel we're in that kind of birthing process right now. And, and I think the precious metals plays a big part of it. And I feel really fortunate to have found out about it.
And I think it's important to remember also with metals, not to just focus on, let's say, gold or silver or whatever, but they are part of the earth. Some people call them God's money, so I guess some people call it Earth's money, whatever it is. They are real, and they've been here all along, and they've been precious, and they've always been valued throughout most all of recorded history. So when we look at, what now we have a lot of, you're talking about it being messy and, this period of change that we're going through in the world right now. I hear a lot of smart people say that we're going through a period of change right now, like probably like we haven't gone through since the end of World War II. So almost in 100 years.
Right.
And the world is changing financially. The world is changing geopolitically as well. We're seeing a big split, bifurcation between the East and the Western countries, and it is messy. I mean, it really feels messy right now. And again, I don't want to sound like I'm preaching gloom and doom and fear, and but I think that if somebody takes a step back and objectively looks at what's going on in the world, things are a little bit messy right now, right. And we don't know. To circle back to what I said earlier, silver and gold, they are part of the earth. They've always been valuable everywhere. That's a big key. They've been universally valuable anywhere in the world and pretty much all throughout time. So as a lot of man-made structures are under stress right now, like the financial system, kind of this predominant Western-dominated financial system that we've had since post World War II days, it's under stress, and there's other groups of countries who are kind of maneuvering to kind of fight back against what has been the status quo for a number of years. I don't know. We don't know how things eventually play out. I feel confident. I won't guarantee it, but I do feel confident that a person who holds some precious metals I'm hard pressed to see a scenario where you lose with precious metals, unless there's some type of confiscation or something along those lines.
Right, and I think the way the world's changing too. I've heard you recently talking about the confiscation thing, and I know what happened prior, when they first took us off the gold and all that, but I just don't think that would happen this time, because I think it's a different space, a different mindset, and some of this items you've spoken to before of like, this kind of happened before and this kind of happened before, but these cycles have happened before. But again, like to reiterate where you're going with this is that, it's a whole nother paradigm in my view. It's just a whole nother way. And I think it's beautiful personally. Like I'm the kind of guy, like I know you're a fun guy. I just love enjoying life. I just want to be nice to people. Like I do this show. I'm not looking for anything, I just want to share messages and try to, bring people together and just give them the opportunity to see other aspects of life or look at things in a different way. And so what would you say let me ask you it then. So for someone who like has never even thought of buying gold or silver before or any of that type of stuff, and I know that's kind of kind of at the end game now in a sense. So it's not to say it's too late, but while they have the opportunity, do you recommend the places like, I'll be honest, I get basically all my stuff from places like AppMex or, SD Bullion. I know I'm paying with a credit card. I know I'm losing a little bit by not, in certain regards doing it that way. But do you find that to be a viable or is it other ways that would be better for someone that's...
Yeah. Well, if you can't dig it up yourself, which most of us can't, then the big name, the JM Bullions, SD Bullions, AppMex, I would always recommend if somebody's new that they read reviews, make sure that who they're buying from is a reputable source. Another great option is a local coin shop. But again, you want to make sure that you're dealing with a company or an individual, an owner who's been around a while and that you can trust.
Right.
And, when people ask me what should they buy, I think if somebody's starting out, you can't go wrong with, things like 10-ounce silver bars or 1-ounce silver bars or 1-ounce silver rounds. Mm-hmm. No matter what you're buying, you want to make sure you're getting good quality silver and that you're getting it for a price that is, relatively close to what the spot, or as close to the spot price is. You don't want to buy a lot of collectible stuff,
Right.
there's all types of different silver products out there now, but if you just go with the kind of the mainstream bars, rounds, or coins, you're going to be in good shape.
Yes, I guess for myself, just learning over time, when I first purchased through my friend Ron, when he told me he was dealing with Scottsdale, mint, so I bought my first bars from there. And honestly, I started out with 100-ounce bars because I just figured I wanted to get the most bang for my buck. And it took a little time, and then I said, well, I'm just buying 100-ounce bars, and I said, if something does happen where I need to maybe have a smaller denomination. So then I kind of got some 10 ounces. I got a couple kilos. I got some 5 ounces. I got some rounds. But everything I get, I make sure it says 999 and, Troy, 100 Troy, or however many Troy ounces, and it says the number of ounces, Troy ounces on it. And, I feel like if I'm buying it from Atmex and it's stamped with Atmex and says 999 Troy, whatever ounces of Troy silver, I figure they're not lying to me, Well, I hope not.
Yeah, no, you do have to be careful, but if you're buying from a big name brand, and I would probably recommend that for somebody who's new, work with one of the big places, Apmex, or there's a place called Liberty Coin that I hear good things about. I actually made a little purchase from them lately. That way you can't go wrong. Or find a local coin shop where somebody refers you to them, or you can read online reviews and develop a relationship with a local source. There's a lot of most towns have and cities have at least one, and sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 good quality coin shops available.
Yes. It's funny, when I was a kid, I was probably around 10, and I had a friend of mine that was into buying coins, so I wound up going to a coin shop and getting some stuff here and there. So I just wanted to show you, because I dug these out and forgot. I was collecting all my silver, and I said, wait a minute, I forgot. This is I'm going to put it up here so you can see it, a 1930 Liberty quarter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's all wrapped. I bought this when I was 10 years old. I spent $3 for it. So, just thinking of, it's just amazing. And something like this, I feel like you say about the collectibles and all, but, these, because of that type of thing, would have more, value. I also have a dime from, what year is the dime? 1946. And that's
oh, wow.
Yeah. So they're in great big show. I didn't put them on this other camera so that people can see. There's my dime, and there's my quarter. I also have, some buffalo. I guess they're buffalo nickels, or just nickels that are silver. Have the picture of the buffalo on them. I got some.
Oh yeah, I think are those called war nickels? I think were they made in the 40s?
Yeah, I think so. Those... I gotta look. I got a stack of those.
I'm not a. They call that numismatic, and I'm not a numismatic guru. Yeah. I don't know that I'm a guru of any of it, but that is one thing I would warn your viewers of. If you are new and you are looking to buy some silver, be very careful with the collectible and what's often referred to as numismatic type coins, because you can that's a whole different world. If you're buying silver for the silver value, that's one thing. But if you're starting to buy old coins because of their collector value, you really have to know what you're doing.
I agree with that. I wouldn't even. That's why I just like buying the stuff I buy generic. As far as it goes. There was one company. I don't know if you're familiar. If you ever heard of 7K Metals, have you heard of them?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, they're a company that's I don't want to say it's a pyramid thing, but it's one of those things where you pay every month. They give you you could have a bank account with them, but the money in the account is equivalent to metals prices. And then, but the caveat, you can buy everything at spot price, basically. You don't pay any premiums to buy your gold or silver. But the caveat is you have to buy one of those numismatic coins every month. It's you got to spend $400, $300 a month on a coin. And I told the people, I'm well, I know I would be interested. I like the idea of having a bank account that's backed by metals, like the stuff that's going on in your town, right, Missouri? When you have what's his name, Mr. Holland, or what's his? I forget his.
Pat Holland.
Pat Holland, right? And he comes on and talks about that. I think that's great, and what Texas is doing, and these types of things. And I look forward to how that'll play out in the future. That you'll be able to go to your bank, that's how I see it. I see it like, the cryptos will come in once we get established to this gold standard or whatever you want to call it, however they refigure everything, you'll be able to take it in and be able to, have a crypto type money that's backed by your own currency type thing. So.
Yeah, Texas is really the bills in Missouri unfortunately did not pass this time around, but Texas is what I would call very progressive. They are proposing actually a gold-backed digital currency, which is a little different than a traditional crypto. I mean, it would be regulated by the state comptroller. And for every unit of this currency that they would issue, it would be backed by a specific amount of gold, and people would be able to go and, convert their token or whatever it would be called, the unit of that digital currency for that physical metal, pretty much at any time, or use it for like day-to-day, living transactions, that type of thing.
Now, I know you're not a predictions person. Neither am I. Like I tried to make a lot of predictions, over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But I mean, just in general, where do you feel we are on a general kind of timeline? Like I know we talk about, maybe it'll hit 30, maybe it'll hit 80, blah, 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 all this type of stuff. But, I really feel, I hear a lot of stuff too of, of it going 1-to-1 with gold. I mean, I know it's all talk and stuff, but I know you have a background, the accounting, and you worked in this type of field. And, what do you feel in your heart as far as like, not to say it's going to flip a switch and all of a sudden it's worth all this, but, what kind of progression do you see, you think?
For silver?
Yeah.
Or
I guess for both. I mean, they're kind of hand in hand.
Maybe I'm just a blind optimist, but I have a hard time envisioning with either of the metals a scenario where they go down in price, measured in, I guess, U.S. dollars significantly. It can certainly happen. I'm like anybody. My brain can't imagine all the scenarios that are out there. But, when I look at all the factors, and to the extent that I can get a grasp on things and maybe try to see the forest through the trees, it just seems to me that we are probably in, kind of the early innings of a period of time where precious metals will have kind of a bountiful harvest when it comes to the value that they have. The price, we're so used to thinking of everything in U.S. dollars, and look, silver 3 years from now could be $200 an ounce. That's not, let's say it goes up by 10 times. Let's say it's $230 an ounce. If the cost of bread and everything else goes up by even more, well, then we haven't benefited, right?
Right.
I guess we benefited more than we would have if we just kept our money in a bank account or in cash. I think what we could see at some point in the future is where the relative value of silver in particular, and gold for that matter, significantly increase. Meaning, no matter what prices do, that silver and gold could, the value, what you can get for an equivalent silver ounce could increase significantly.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And it's one of the other people I kind of follow on YouTube, the Bix Weir. You probably heard of him. He's pretty popular.
Yeah.
And he makes that point a lot of just trying to say it's like you can't even put it in terms of like, how much is it going to be worth? Because it's not. We're like you say, we're basing it on like what we think the dollar is worth, and but the value you'll be able to get for it, it'll probably be within a different parameter, but as long as it has the value to get, me personally, I also have a real estate license here in Florida where I am. I look at it as, once this kind of flips, as an opportunity to take some of that silver, invest into some properties and, and diversify and such. But I keep sitting here saying, my silver is collecting dust. I want to get that house on the beach.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. I've got another friend from down, I think, in your area, and he sent me a picture once of heads of lettuce at the grocery store. They were $5 each. This was, 6-7 months ago. And I said, I don't think that's a good trade. That's like 1 ounce of silver for 5 heads of lettuce.
Yeah.
To me, that doesn't. I don't. I wouldn't want to trade in one of my ounces of silver for 5 heads of lettuce. Now, relatively speaking, at some point, if you can get 500 heads of lettuce for 1 ounce of silver, you know what I mean? Then
Right.
I don't know what I'd do with 500 heads of lettuce, but that's just the best example that I could come up with. And you're right, though. I mean, that's that's what people ask me, when do you sell? And I say, well, I think if a relative value presents itself, if you can buy a nice little house for 1,000 ounces of silver at some point, I would say that's a pretty good value, because right now a nice little house would cost you 10,000 ounces of silver. So does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I going back to kind of what I was saying earlier of like how much sense it makes to make it part of like, you know, your economic portfolio or whatever you want to say through a lifetime, because you can, you know, take chunks of it at a time to use. It's not like, you know, when I first bought it, I bought a certain amount of ounces. And I thought, okay, you know, with the anticipation of maybe it'll be this price and I'll be able to have this and that. But then I started to see it differently. You know, it's more of, it's not just like, and because you guys always say too, not just you and others that I listen to in this regard, you know, you're not looking to make money off of it. You know, it's not something that's an investment to make, you know, it's more of maintaining your value, you know, and and what you have. So yeah, it just gave me a whole nother perspective of, so, you know, if you can have it in chunks, it's always going to fluctuate, but, you know, it goes back down, you buy some more. When it goes back up, you trade it back in and get other things, you know, that type of stuff. I wish I would have been, you know, I was just so brainwashed myself my whole life of, you know, work your job, put your money in the bank, and you maybe one day, if you don't have 6 heart attacks by the time you're 60, you'll be able to enjoy yourself one day, you know? So, but it's a whole new world. And I think, you know, for me, I'm a big proponent. Like I'm all about individual freedom. You know, I think everyone should have a level of respect and kindness and graciousness towards one another. But at the same time, we all have, like, you know, God has given us all beautiful gifts, you know, to share, to create communities. And, you know, I feel this is a way for people that have been screwed for so many years and generations. This is a chance to really, you know, I'm not saying, it's not even like stick it to them, but maintain your worth and your sovereignty and your ability to live life on your terms without having to answer to these banks and everything else that can shut you down in 2 seconds. It's really a disgrace.
Yeah, it's interesting times in which we live, Pete. No doubt about it.
Well, listen, Ron, I really appreciate your time today being here. One question I had to ask before you go, because I don't know if you've ever mentioned this on your show. Does your bear have a name?
The bear, the silver bear is Smitty. Yeah, the big bear that has a bunch of different names. Okay. We haven't really decided on one yet.
That might be a great contest. A great contest for you to do on your show. Maybe like you know,
that's a great idea.
Name the bear. So for those who don't know, Ron's got the bear in the background. It's got the blindfold on it with 2,500, because once gold hits 2,500 an ounce, the blindfold comes off and the bear gets to live a life again.
That's right. Yeah. Happy days are here again, right? Yeah.
So I encourage everyone to listen to Ron's show. Check him out on YouTube. It's great stuff. It does multiple videos a day, updating, sharing information. So please check him out and like and subscribe and all that. Ron, any final words you'd like to offer to the beautiful world out there before I let you go today?
No, Pete, but I want to say thank you to you and to all the viewers that are with us right now. It was a real honor to be here, and I hope I'll see you soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to send you a text with the link to this episode so you can check it out for yourself and have it in case you want to do anything with it, share it out or anything like that. Yeah. So, all right. Ron, I'm going to give a little round of applause for Ron of Ron's Basement. I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for your time. I'll be watching you. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
There he goes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Ron of Ron's Basement on YouTube. What a great conversation, and I really enjoy it. I have to say, for me, myself personally, I never thought I would be so interested in precious metals and such. I'm really glad that it came into my life, and it's really been growing over the past couple years, and I see what's going on out in the world, and it's a chance for you to preserve your wealth, and protect your family and yourself. So I hope you enjoy this information out there today, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thank you so much for your time to be with me here today on Operation Status Quo. We observe the status quo. We learn to flow with the quo, and then we create our own flow of quo, yo, because that's the only way to go, don't you know, yo? Yeah. All right, and that's it. Please like, subscribe, share, send this out to your friends, your family, those you love, those you despise as well, because we know they need the most help of all. I'm Pete Palma, and we've got lots of great stuff to come for the rest of the week. So stick with me. I'll be back tomorrow. But for now, Operation Status Quo disengaged.